Have you ever looked at your hand as if she was trying to tell you a secret? Because I'm not talking about the heart line and the line of life in that way, the generic that everyone in the world has heard of. I'm talking about a very specific drawing, which in some people it appears as if it were a brand name, the hidden, the letter A. And before you think, oh, that's just a coincidence, let me tell you one thing. And that's when I started to notice this. I just realized that there are people who you look at, and you can't see a thing. And there are people who, when you see, can't decipher. Because it is the more strange, is it not, of the letter, in and of itself. The strange thing is that it is calling by the feeling that you are always perceive things first. What do you really captures mood, intention, power, and multi-day tours, as if his brain caught up signs that most people ignore. And then he said, I am not going to try to convince you there's nothing else in the force. I'm going to make it better. I'm going to show you how to observe, how to spot it, and what are the traditional interpretations that exist around such a character. A way of light, beginner, at the same time. Deep enough for you to end this video by saying, gosh, if that makes sense to me. Because if there's one thing I've learned, it's just that your hand is not just a free hand. To a lot of people, it's a map. And there are times when the map has no lyrics. Now, be aware that at the end of this video, you'll be able to look back at his palm with a different point of view. And if you see something that looks like the letter A, you will understand why so many of the traditions consider that this is rarely the case. And if you enjoy mysteries with a real human body and the symbols of darkness, self-awareness, and that delightful feeling of discovering something new about yourself, then you already subscribe to the channel now and share this video with someone who keeps saying, I've got a gut feeling, or I always feel it when something's going to happen. Seriously. Do it now, because that's all I'm going to show you. It can cause you to look out for her hand in a way that nobody ever taught you. When I say the letter A, on the one hand, I'm not saying that it was a perfect, equal to a source of a computer, cute-centered. No. I'm not talking about a pattern formed by the meeting of lines in a triangle, one side with a bar across. And all of a sudden, it looks like an A. And why is it called attention to? Because the human brain is great at recognizing patterns. We recognize a face in a cloud. We recognize the form is in shadow. But here is the thing. In the palm of your hand, the edges are not random for the whole world. In the same way, they are different. And there are people who, for whatever reason, to meet the most clear between the lines, the major and the minor. Now, you can breathe me. I'm going to talk about it in the right way. There are two layers here. The physical layer, lines, wrinkles, texture, natural variations in the leather. The layer of the symbolic, cultural interpretations, success, and self-knowledge that people are on top of that. There are thousands and thousands of years. So when I say mean is interpreted as within these traditions. I'm not giving you a diagnosis or forecast is guaranteed in the future. I'm going to show you a collection of readings, symbolic, that's a lot of people use to think about you. And honestly, even if you're 100% a skeptic, it's just the experience of watching the hand of attention because it's interesting. As you can see, as you go through your whole life with a world map in your palm, and I almost never look at. I like to explain it in a simple way. Palmistry is the name for the more well-known to the reading of his hands. It appears to be in a lot of cultures, India, China, and traditions of the Roma in Europe, and the ancient texts, practices, popular, each location with its own set of rules, symbols, and beliefs. The common theme is this. The people gave heed to the hands because the hands tell a story. Hard work builds factors. The stress changes the tension in the muscles, the time marks on the skin, and the lines will also change slightly with age, the habits, the scars, the posture, the use of. Then from time to time, some of the traditions, they began to say, these lines will not show on life. They also showed tendencies, personality, and energy. And I started to get special tags, stars, crosses, triangles, the square, and at some of the readings, spell. The letter A has become the most talked about because it's simple and powerful. This is the beginning of it, is the first, is the alpha, it is the top, and it feeds a lot of interpretations of leadership, fate, and awareness. And right now, I'm going to take a pro to the point where people get trapped in the video. How to identify them. Right now, I want you to do to me as if it was a test. I'm going to guide you in 3 easy steps. You have to do is to imagine that you're looking at your hand calmly. If you have your hand in there, so much the better. Step 1. I look at the 3 lines that gets a lot of attention. Generally, the palm line's deeper and more rows into very thin. Some of the most profound and tend to be the line which passes more or less in the middle, a lot of people call the line on the head, line up, which is often associated with the heart on it, and the more the bend, close to the thumb, a lot of people call this. Step 2. I'm looking for a training in the top and the dash. He looks like generally we have the 2 lines that angled up, and if you are making a telhadinho, and it's a line that you cross in the middle of the bar. Step 3. I agree that it can be a subtle one. At times the letter A, it is not perfect. At times it feels like an almost. And here comes the fun part. You get to train your eye, and you notice that your hand has to micro-desenhos. Right now, I want to ask you one question, and I want you to ask in the comments because I read it and I use it as the basis for the prose the next video. Do you have any training to the letter or symbol in your hand? It can be either an A, might be M, it can be a triangle, a star, and an X. Note the format you see here in your palm. Beauty. Let's say that you have looked at it and thought, it's like one in the same. What are the traditions they tend to tell you? The letter A carries the idea of a very old, at the beginning and the direction. It is the first letter of many of the alphabet. To remember the alpha, the recalls, the first step. And it connects up with interpretations such as the initiative. The courage to begin leadership is a natural, the ability to open a path, the power of the pioneer. And see what I find particularly curious about some traditions say that the symbols, such as letters that appear in the people that have a signature of the energy, as if the person had a mark, a mission, the purpose of the call. Again, this is symbolic of that. But the question is, who takes it? And if you ever feel that, do you see what others can't see? And if you ever get a sense of what you see in tensions, notice patterns, notice the climate, and sometimes even expected, the one who is going to go wrong before it takes place. It is here that the subject holds. Right now, I'm going to be the layer of the spiritual, but to no taste, no fear, no drama. In the various readings, the mystic, the letter A, is associated with 3 main ideas: a sensitivity to the spiritual, the people who feel the environment, that you can, in place of the heavy, which is exactly in the spotlight, it picks up not saying it. 2. Intuition above the average of it is not super. It is more like a facility to add the signals are small and get results fast. Have you ever met someone who says, I don't trust this person, and then something else comes along? Because it is. 3. In connection with the purpose, the reading of the symbolic, the saying that a person, do you feel that life must have a meaning? I can't live in the automatic transmission for a very long time. And here's something that few people have spoken. These interpretations tend to come with a warning. Sensitivity can be a strength, but it can be a burden. If I have to pick up all the interpretations, the most common letter in his hand, and they paint them for that kind of person who tends to look something like this. Observer. I'm noticing a detail that nobody notices. A leader by nature I have taken out when the whole world crashes. The sense of justice is strong. I have trouble with lies and inconsistencies. Intuition and emotional. I feel the mood. I can feel the power I feel when something changes. Protective case. I find myself helping people, even when I didn't want to. Right now, I'll tell you one thing. If you can identify with this, you are probably the type of person who has lived in the following situations. You are told, and no one heard. And then, when it happened, and they said, how do you know? And it is for this reason that I asked a very straight right now. Because this channel is for people who like to see the unseen at the obvious. Subscribe now and activate the bell. It is not just us. That is why, if you're into that sort of theme for it, you will lose the contents of which seem to be made for you if you don't sign up for. I will post videos that connect the symbols of the body and behavior and tradition, and each of the video. It's a piece of the puzzle the greatest. You will learn more about you. Then do it now. Subscribe and turn on the bell, because of the following is where a lot of people realize that the bill too, this is not just a beautiful drawing, and she has a bright. Right now, I'm going to talk to the hand, that very few people like it, but a lot of us live. If the letter A is interpreted as the sensitivity and the perception of some of the traditions that they say that you can come up with, soak up the excitement of the other things. I get drained out of a conversation thinking too much about it. I take a look at everything, even things that did not need to the guilt for not saving everyone else. I feel a responsibility for the things that are not my own, the anxiety of anticipation. I see the problem until it wears off, and here is where an important turning point. The symbol is not a curse. The symbol is a mirror. I am a sensitive person, and I need to practice emotional. I need to get out. I need to pick and choose where I put my energy, because if I don't choose to have the life, you choose it for me. A handy tip without mysticism. When you realize that you're soaking up too much, you wish to test a simple question. This is mine. Or I'm picking up the planet. That one sentence changed its stance. Here's another important part. Not everyone is going to have to be perfect. And even then, a lot of people have something like that. The training of the more common are an A without the dash. Looks like a triangle next to it, a crooked lines inclined at a different, an A with a dash, without really thin in the middle. An A that appears only when you stretch out your hand. The opportunity to interpret this as strong or kind. The more you clear, the more powerful the reading of the symbolic tend to be, but this can vary a lot. Right now, I really want you to take part in, because of that, here turns to an investigation of the press conference. Do you have any training in a partial? Any letter any different? A sign? The account in the comments. What format will appear in your hand?
And if you're able to, describes more or less, which is the closer to the thumb, in the middle, closer to the fingers. I love this part because it gives him butterflies in my stomach. This is coming from far away. In many ancient cultures, the hand, it was seen as a symbol of destination, protection, and power.
Not only for the reading of the lines, but by a gesture, by a tap on the signature, that is, the hand represents. And it is curious, however, as the letters, punctuation marks, and trademarks that appear in many traditions, not necessarily as a scientific fact, but as a symbolic language. You think with me that the whole of humanity in different times looked at his hand and thought, that tells you something, because the hand is the part of the body that is the most you should do the things in the world. It designs, builds, protects, and put away safe, let go, point out, promise, gifts, accused. He asks for no. So when someone tells you that it is a symbol in the hand and shows you a little bit about you, it is as much as to say, how do you play in the world? It reveals who you are. And then the letter A becomes a symbol for home, action, the tip of the spear. It's no wonder that so many people feel that this matches up with the people from the presence of the strong. Right now, I want to bring it down. Pro in my daily life. Even if you treat him as a symbol, a useful question is, I see myself as someone who sees more, is more. It feels like the most, what do I do with it? Because you have two options in life. I use my sense for me to protect you, to grow up, to choose the best, or do I let it turn into the anxiety, too much of a liability, and the wear and tear? So, I want to give you 3 practical ways that you can combine with this reading of the symbolic. The way to a training perspective on the real data. Intuition is good, is not kick. It is a perception plus experience, so if you have a gut feeling, it is observed facts. You will be changing. Path 2. Creating emotional limits. You can be compassionate without charge to the world. The limit is not true, the boundary is free. Way 3. Using the leadership with a conscience. If you have a tendency to lead, leads, and without control, it helps to save, guides you without being void. And now I want you to listen to it again, because this right here is at the heart of this video. Do you have a sign on the lines of the hand? Letter, M, L, cross, star, triangle, anything at all? Comment below. What did you find in your hand? I want to map it to you. Right now, I'm going to play in the sense that a lot of people left in silence. There are people who spend their entire lives listening to. You think it's too much. You're sensitive too. You look silly things. However, in many cases, it's not too much. It's just a different type of camera. And it is for this reason that the idea of the letter with a knife. Just because she speaks with a profile. People who understand the subtext. I'm going to give you examples of simple day-to-day activities. I can see when someone's smiling, but on the inside are angry. I can see where a conversation, it's going to a strange place. I can see when someone switches the power on me. I understand when a place to weigh for no apparent reason. When you can combine that with a tendency to lead, you become a person who is. It takes a decision on when. No one takes the points to the risk that no one sees a guide to the group when the group's lost. And it comes with the price. If you feel alone at times, why not live with the radar on? If that made any sense to you, the insured, for now, I'm going to talk about something that a lot of people question. Can the right hand and on his left hand? In some of the traditions is to read from the hand, there is a significant difference. One hand, it would show trends for whipped cream, the potential, and that is the basis of the other show, as you're living it, what you've done. It's just that it varies. You have to read what it says, which is the dominant hand shows to the present, and the other showing the full potential. Others say the opposite. So, I like to use a simple way. I will look at both and compare. The on is shown, in which, if it appears on both, the reading of the symbolic is said that it is something that is well integrated into if you get on the one and only. There may be something in what you're doing, or something with more of an internal, but I always come back to what matters. The symbol is a call for you to observe, is not a rubber stamp of the destination. Because of the changing in your life, it is not the. It's what you choose to do with how you feel, notice, and choice. And what I think is fun, letters, and symbols that people have reported. A lot of people go to this topic for the sake of the A, but then he begins to notice other things as well. Some of the symbols on the staff says a lot. M, a lot of people associate with the insights and perceptions of opportunity. The cross, the interpretations differ. What are the challenges, lessons learned, faith in face? The star is sometimes associated with it. The outline, sort of symbolic of shield. The triangle, which is linked to the intellect, focus, structure. Square of interpretations of A. The protective structure. The long shot. The islands in the lines that are associated with periods of confusion, stop, and vulnerability. Again, this is the reading of the Mona Lisa. But it is precisely because of this that it turns over good conversation. Because each man begins to notice and think, oh my God, I've never seen that happen. And right now, I'm going to make a request and direct you. Because I want to turn to comments on a panel, the real standards are as follows. Do you have any letters or symbols on the lines of the hand? Don't need to be A. It can be in any format. So you write in the comments, I see a tune in my hand, A, M, L, triangle, star, cross, etc. And if you want to, describes and where it appears. Right now, I'm going to tie up all the way I like it, straight and strong, and that the impact of, okay, I need to look out for my hand again. Today, I will show you how to look at this letter, in the hand, and why are so many traditions that they consider it a symbol of the rare. A figure formed of lines, which, if it occurs, tends to be associated with the initiation, decision-making, perception, and intuition, that feeling you realize the things you just escaped. I have also shown you the beautiful side and the side of challenger. Because of the sensitivity, it can be a gift. But you can also turn the weight if you don't create boundaries, and if you don't learn how to filter it out, and if you don't choose where to invest time and energy. And right now, I want you to do two things for me, and I'm going to be very transparent. If you do this, you support the channel and help other people find the content. First of all, if you subscribe to the channel now and activate the bell, because I didn't make a video alone, I will make a sequel. Each video is of one piece, and if you fade away and come back later, you'll lose the thread, and it gets close to the signals that I'm going to show you. Second, share this video with someone who keeps saying, I'm things, or I can see the detail too much, or I have a gut feeling. You don't have any idea of how much you can earn with a good conversation, and sometimes a person can see just by start to look at your own body with a different point of view. 3, he says. And here is the comment that the most important of all. I want to use it to make the next video based on your reply to, in addition to the letter. That's the other lines, letters, or symbols that you have on hand. And I'll go one step further. You have a mark, sign, symbol, line, or format for the curious in other parts of the body as well. It can also be a signal is repeated, with a pint in a strange format, with a brand that you have always found it curious. Tell me what you have on hand, or in a body that seems to load as a symbol. If this video you pinned it this far, leave your like, because it tells me what you want more of this kind of content. Subscribe, share it with, comments, and the symbol that you've found. I will notice one thing. In the next movie, I can't speak for other standards that are famous in the lines of the hand, as in the letter M, crosses, triangles, and the brand that the staff is called the Red Guard. So, stay with me, because sometimes the mystery, we're not that far away. At the time, it's all right there, in the palm of your hand.